GM, we are live yet again at 10:30 p.m. But you know what? That's not going to stop us. It's not going to stop us. We've got to be quiet yet again. So apologies for the ASMR style audio. But you know what? We can remedy that with a little night drive we'll go on. Hopefully not too loud, and hop right into a BBM. So this is BBM. I got 56 left. So I don't know what that means. Have I done 96 of them? This might be, I guess this is number 96, number 94. All right. Well, you know what? One day I'll get an editor and we'll make the intro a little bit better, but we're waiting for 2 people. So it looks like these late night BBMs are filling a little faster than those at 8:30 in the morning. Today, of course, we had some preseason games happen. It sounds like Mr. Jamar Chase had an absolutely electric preseason game. I did not get to watch it, but the reaction on Twitter was pretty strong there. Jaden Blue, I believe he hurt his ankle, although he was spotted on the sidelines afterwards, so hopefully he's not too severely injured. Rich, he broke his finger on his passing hand, is my understanding. I believe it was a break, so it sounds like he is going to be missing a few weeks, and that's not great news. That's not great news for his possibilities of starting in week 1. However, I think it was Herzig tweeted out, I think jokingly, that this is the best thing that could happen for Rich's week 1 possibilities, because now we don't have to see him. So we can just remember the good times and not see any terrible preseason tape. So who knows? He may still be the starter yet, but I did appreciate that. But we're off and running here. Let's see what we can do out of the 3-hole. I have not updated these ranks in a very long time. So it still, I believe, has Jefferson at 2. I will not do that. Will not take Jefferson at 2. Crazy to see that CeeDee Lamb has flipped Jefferson, Saquon, and I believe Gibbs as well. This is a big rise for CeeDee Lamb. But you know what? My philosophy in round 1 has been to pretty much just take what the room gives you, go by ADP. I don't want to get out over my skis in any of these, but this is fantastic. This is my first draft with the new board, and I have complained about this. If you've watched my stream, I always complain that we had to look at the slider bar to figure out how many of each position other players have, other drafters have taken, and they fixed it. We now have numbers. This is so much better. So kudos to Underdog for fixing that. This is much better. Let's get the banner going with our top BBM exposures, and off we go. So wow, Saquon Barkley at 7. Holy moly, that is so nice for Savage Jack there. I'm a big Saquon buyer. I will happily take him there. And that's pretty awesome. Nico Collins at 6. You don't see that too often. But, I suppose if you're trying to get some kind of unique combo, maybe you do that. Although, I feel like if I'm going to take Nico in the first round, I'd rather take him all the way on the left and really get some pairings you don't get. Because when you do this from the middle of the board, you do risk not getting unique. You could end up with somebody getting falling draft value and potentially almost forfeiting like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So kind of an interesting strategy, but not one that I like to. I do not like to try the board flip from the middle of the board. I feel like sometimes that's getting a little too clever. Puka down at 10. He's been a little bit of a slider with the Matt Stafford injury concerns. But yeah, this new board looks clean. You got the picture, you got the name, you got where they went. This is definitely an improvement from the previous view that they would give us. So try to keep the board up so everyone can see who is going off there. Again, other than Nico here at 6, nothing too out of the ordinary. But again, that pushed Saquon out to 7. Chase Brown at the pick 17. That's pretty early. That's a little bit early for Chase Brown. He's sometimes there at 32, pretty rarely though, but maybe this person is trying to get that somewhat unique pairing of CMC and Chase Lad McConkey likely to be a faller with the news that the Chargers left tackle is, I think, it tore his patella tendon. Regardless of what it was, it's bad, and he's out for the year. So I think we're going to start seeing some of the Chargers position players continue to drop. But let's take a Jonathan Taylor share. Well, if A-Rich is actually hurt, I think that does help boost Jonathan Taylor's prospects. I think A-Rich is the much worse fit at quarterback for him. I'll pull the board back up. We can watch what goes on. So T. Higgins goes at the 2 hole. He's certainly someone I could have taken there and then attempted the great Joe Burrow push, but we do not go that route. And let's see what Jay Chili's does here at the turn. Thinking about what we want, I think we could go any direction. Trey McBride would be fine. One of the elite quarterbacks would be nice. I take a ton of Garrett Wilson in the spot. Maybe look at taking Allen or Lamar here. Not really sure how I want to play this. I might just take the falling Trey McBride here. He was a guy who was pretty consistently in the second round, so I'll take a flyer on him here in the third. I'll continue to kind of scoop the ADP value, although, you could argue that if you're taking Lamb at 3, you're not getting ADP value because there's a lot of Lamb teams that drafted out of the 6 and 7 hole. But I do feel like Lamb, Taylor, McBride is a strong start. Again, McBride is a guy I don't want to be completely out on. And if I don't take him here ahead of ADP, also, I think a lot of my McBride teams likely are with Higgins or Jamar Chase. And so I don't necessarily want to only have McBride on Cincinnati Week 17 stuff. So we will, continue to build out this roster and see what we can see. I think there are quite a few other streams going on. I know Fanspeak, I think they're wrapping up their stream. Normally I would be lurking, watching them tonight. They're a great source of information, great content creators over there. And I do know they are live. But again, my normal time is 8:30 a.m. Monday to Friday. But we'll just do a few of these late night streams. I'm traveling, so I'm not in my normal streaming setup here. Josh Allen going there at pick 32. The only thing I don't like about this board is I know some people are kind of wired to thinking about players drafted in specific rounds, like the 3-1, the 3-10. I tend to think in the number, the absolute draft pick. So I do kind of wish, this said, what pick it was without having to hover over it. I do appreciate that if you hover over it, it will tell you the pick number, but it is something at a glance I like because I tend to think in ADPs and those kind of absolute numbers because that's how they appear here. The ADP is not like 3.10 or 4.12 or whatever. I think if that was the case, then I could pretty quickly get used to it. But either way, I will not complain because this is such a dramatic upgrade. Just getting these numbers is helpful, and the fact that it is kind of locks this bar at the top. That is nice. So Rashee Rice there at pick 39, so he doesn't fall. Hampton here at 34. Again, this is interesting draft here. This is a lot of kind of fallers. All right, our first thing we got to keep an eye on. We've got Jaden Daniels going to the Josh Allen team. So we have somebody who has taken 2 elite quarterbacks. This could, potentially have some effects on the rest of the room. A quarterback could get thin quickly, so it is something we want to think about. With we've got Kyler and Dak as potential options. We've got a couple good ones in spaces in the draft board that we like. It would be kind of interesting to start with Pickens, Dak, although, I don't build a lot of teams like that, but maybe today, maybe today we will. And then we're going to, I think I'll probably take a third wide receiver here. So this is a lot of investment in Dallas, particularly on a team where I'm probably not going to get a Washington bring back, at least early in the draft. I think Debo, if I had to guess, I think this guy feels like he's going to need a wide receiver and try to pair Daniels with Debo. That's my guess. I'm not going to get Debo where I am, but I wouldn't mind ending up with Debo on this team. We're going to look to add another wide receiver. I'm pretty out. I don't love DJ Moore, so I think I'll rank them like this, but if I do end up with DJ Moore, I will not be too upset. DJ Moore, has had a sort of interesting camp. Not a ton of buzz on him, but does sound like he's still in the mix. I don't think he's been like shadow realmed by any means, but DK Metcalf, a nice thing about DK Metcalf is you can get Aaron Rodgers pretty late if you do need to mix in a quarterback. So for the audio listeners, we've got a 0-1-3-1 with Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and DK Metcalf. So pretty heavy investment in Dallas. Just start penciling draft picks ahead of time. Let's see. So Dak's ADP at 106. We are picking at 99 and then 118. So we have the 94 and the 99. So let's think this 9-9.3 is probably going to be Dak, because pushing him here way past ADP does seem kind of risky. So another potential thing we could do is we could, if Kyler's there, do a Kyler Dak double tap there to pair McBride with Kyler. Although, if McBride is unstacked, I am more than willing to live with that. So we'll keep the board up again, keeping an eye on things. This H-Town 13-eared guy has no wide receivers yet. He's got 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 0 wide receivers. So pretty interesting build from that player over there. They do seem like a wild card, and somebody that starts building really weird stuff, I don't think you can count on them ending with 2 QBs. I will be, I'm going to bet that this person takes a third quarterback. I'm not saying right now because I don't know who they take unless they're really nuts and they take Joe Burrow, which is possible. But no, they finally get a wide receiver with Emeka Egbuka, and let's see what is coming to us. Would be nice to add Caleb would be absolutely perfect, because then we could, have Caleb and Metcalf there. That'd be pretty good. I do like Pacheco. I would be pretty happy if I got out of here with the turn. My ideal turn, I think, would be Caleb Pacheco. If that falls apart, then we can see where we're at. Deebo Samuel went earlier. Let's see who did Deebo go to. Deebo went over here to this guy. All right, so he didn't even make it to the Daniels drafter. All right, so we get part one. Which was Caleb, who we want. That's pretty sweet. DeAndre Swift would have been nice had this been DJ Moore, but you know what? We got Metcalf, so I like this Metcalf-Caleb situation we have going here. And let's see what else we get. Matthew Golden would be a nice consolation prize. I could take another wide receiver, although I'm getting kind of weirdly concentrated in bye weeks, perhaps a little bit. I don't really care too much about that. I'm not a bye week bro. I don't know where Jordan Addison is going to settle. Obviously, they announced a 3-game suspension, and haven't done too many drafts since then. So ADP is very slow to adjust on Underdog because it's a much longer time horizon than I believe on DraftKings, the way they do their ADP. So we don't really see that adjustment happen super quickly. But regardless, let's queue up Pacheco. Pacheco goes, then Golden. So Pacheco does not go. So I kind of did get my run out that I was hoping for on the team. Again, another Week 10 bye, a little bit unfortunate, but something I am willing to live with here. So for the audio listeners, we've got 0-3-3-1. We've got Jonathan Taylor, Caleb Johnson, Isaiah Pacheco, wide receiver room of CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Trey McBride. So I'm just going to put Dak and Kyler in the queue. Again, this is, pick 94 and pick 99. And that's what we're going to aim for. But we're not going to pass anything huge because, with Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers would be a nice back stack, and we could always do some kind of instant, Cam Ward, Bryce Young kind of stack. As long as we get Dak, I'll be feeling pretty good. So it might be the case that if we get a good wide receiving value, then we can pass on Kyler there. Hey, Aunt X Wall, it is not 8:30 a.m. It is not, but I am on late. It is not the usual time for me, but I do appreciate you coming in and hanging out. Thanks so much for your support. Just trying to keep the algo happy coming on late. Although it is much different waters streaming late at night, not in my normal setup. And but I do want to thank you for coming out. Right now, I don't mind this team. I feel like it's pretty decent. We'll have to see what we get in the wide receiver department because two Dallas receivers as your 1 and 2 does feel potentially a little sketchy, but we'll see. So the 2-hole was able to pull off the Burrow push. Congratulations to them because they were able to get Higgins and Burrow there at 71. Let's see what comes around to us. So again, this drafter, this H-Town Beard guy, he took Allen and Daniels, but not really too much concern around the room. I don't see quarterbacks going earlier than normal. Mahomes went pick 82, which is around his typical ADP. There goes Justin Fields, which is actually a little early for Fields. Pittman certainly a possibility. If he comes to me, continue to bet on the Colts. I don't mind that, although, I did have this Kyler Dak plan, which I do think is pretty nice. Let's stick with it. Let's try to make this the let's try to do Dak and Kyler. I don't do a ton of teams where I double tap quarterback at the 8-9 turn. So this will be a little different texture from how I typically build. If for some reason Dak goes, that just really sucks. And I'm really gonna regret the way I built this team. And maybe I'm gonna regret it anyway with only Lamb, Pickens, and Metcalf early. But this could just be a two QB. We also would, Aaron Rodgers late. Well, let's see. Aaron Rodgers ADP is 191. So that's actually been falling a little bit. That seems later than I remembered it. I thought he was in the late 170s, mid 180s, but that's a little bit of a fall there. Michael Pittman is falling, but again, I think passing on Dak is a mistake. So let's just take Dak there. We lock up our stack. So that's not too bad. We had a plan, we executed, and now we can really just build out the rest of the roster. Don't have to do anything too fancy, and just hope that our bet on the Cardinals and the Cowboys pays off. Pull up the board. So interestingly enough, only 2 of us have 2 quarterbacks so far. The 2 elite quarterback drafter, and then myself with Kyler and Dak. Again, this H-Town person just drafting weird. They took Ingram and Warren there. I mean, this is very early for Ingram and pretty early for Warren as well. So definitely a little bit of value to be had in this room. I actually do really like the J.K. Dobbins pick there from that drafter. But again, quarterback could get a little squirrely once people realize that, you have someone taking 2, you have Justin Fields going early, and now we have myself double tapping quarterback there. We'll see if that sparks a run, although Baker went really late in this draft at 107. So kind of just a bizarre room so far. And let's hope we can find a couple of wide receivers in this range. Let's see what's out there. Yuck. Okay, so we have Ayuk, who I never take because he's injured, and I don't think he's good. We got Shaheed, who I don't mind. We'll see if he's there. Trey Harris is in the shadow realm. Krosky Merritt seems like he's outplaying him, and they added Keenan Allen. Rashad Bateman would be fine. I really do like Tucker Kraft. Mark Andrews feels like a smash if he's there. getting Andrews and McBride. I love Scatabo. He's one of my favorite players. I have a ton of him, but he's been falling with the hamstring injury. Christian Kirk. This team might just be screaming for Christian Kirk. So as much fun as it would be to take Mark Andrews and get two elite tight ends, I don't know. That said, that's Kotrak guy and Jay Achilles each have 5 receivers, so it is possible they go another direction and we could push Kirk. But the drop off between Kirk and the next receiver, I think, is pretty massive. So hopefully Kirk comes here. Again, Scatabo, very tempting, but I don't think it's the right pick on this team. Let's lock up Christian Kirk. I won't pass on Scatabo. Maybe it's the time to take Ayuk had he been there, but he goes. Ray Davis wouldn't be a terrible selection there. Marvin Mims, not too bad. So let's just kind of stay flexible here. I don't think I have any Cowboys or Cardinals I need. Ferguson goes at 137, so be a little bit of a reach. Nothing crazy if we wanted Fergie. You know what? I think I'm just gonna buy the dip on Scatabo. You know what? Let's do it. Let's get Scatabo as our running back 4. So this team so far, we've got Kyler and Dak at quarterback. We've got JT, Caleb Johnson, Isaiah Pacheco, Cam Scatabo at running back, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and the slot demon himself, with Trey McBride at tight end. So yeah, so far so good. Like the way this team is coming out. Got a dip on Scatabo. If he returns to practice by the time preseason winds out and he starts looking good, again, it might not be week 1 that he's leading the backfield, but I feel like he's going to have a role on that team by the end of the season. So let's see what we can see. All right. So pulling up the board, Dylan Sampson. That is, my God, seeing Dylan Sampson at pick 127 is absolutely jarring. But it's these are the times we live in. Keenan Allen at 128 to this H-Town fellow. I mean, he is just doing some wild stuff there. Hey Tyler, thanks so much for coming in. It is good. I am here to feed the algo and do a late night stream. So again, Tyler, thanks so much for your support. I would tell the viewers to subscribe to you, but I think you're the only one here. So Tyler, thanks for coming in. But it's all for the love of the game, and I do appreciate you coming in and hanging out. I like the new Underdog draft board. I do appreciate that they changed that terrible bar into the number of each position. That is pretty nice. But yeah, next week I'll be back to my normal early AM stream and not have to whisper like we're doing a sketchy ASMR after dark episode. I'll say that's why the algo doesn't like me. It's because it thinks I'm mischaracterizing this stream as something it's not. But yeah, no. Hey Tyler, thanks so much for supporting. If anyone's watching this on replay, Tyler in the Fantasy Sanctuary does awesome work, and again, I really appreciate you coming by. Let's see, what do we need here? We still need receivers. My God, Marvin Mims is still here. If he's here, I'm just going to take him. Josh Palmer would be nice. Yeah, let's take Mims, like almost 20 picks past ADP. We needed a wide receiver, and we got one. So we'll add Mims to the crew, and I assume Bigsby's gone. I think his new ADP is higher than this. I did miss out on Fergie. The tight ends have really gotten thin here. I don't think there's any reason to take a quarterback at this point. We did use a lot of draft capital on our Kyler and Dak bet. Jaden Blue would make sense. He did hurt his ankle, and the severity is unknown, but I do think it does make sense on this Dak double stack to take Jaden Blue. So I'm also tempted by Romeo Doubs. That's why I'm hesitating here, but I'll take Jaden Blue. Maybe Dobbs would have been a better click, but it is all good. It is all good. Tyler says you can always boost your volume for us, so it doesn't matter if you whisper. I can. No, it says auto. How do I sound? Anyway, I don't know. I have it on automatically adjust mic volume. So maybe if I manually do that, it'll come through. But anyway, that is some good alpha, Tyler. Thank you. Thank you for that there. All right, let's see. Let's bring the board back up, see if anything interesting is going on. Again, almost feel like I should have taken Dobbs there, but if I'm ever going to add Jaden Blue, it probably would be to this stack, double stack there. We can, with 5 wide receivers, with Taylor, Caleb, Pacheco, Scatabo, Blue, this could end up just being a 5 running back team. I do think we're going to add, if we add Aaron Rodgers and, go 3 tight ends, and the question is, do we want to add 2 more wide receivers or a wide receiver and a running back? I think that's going to be the difficult decision for us, and we'll see what the room presents to us. There are so many fun late round running backs at this point, although they've been going earlier and earlier. Krosky Merritt at 185. I don't even know if that's a real ADP at this point. I've seen him go earlier in stream drafts. Will Shipley broke off a big run, but he was notably behind AJ Dillon. I'm hoping that's just like a veteran deference thing and not how they really plan to use the running backs in Philly if something happened to Barkley. Unclear. Taj Brooks, I think he only got run with the second team as well. So a couple of guys I think we were hoping might be involved a little earlier in their preseason games. Nothing I'm going to worry about, but just things I want to take note of and not get too out over my skis on any of those guys. All right, so Kyle Williams, this is a big fall on Kyle Williams. I don't know if there was any news. I hadn't heard anything on him. That wouldn't be a terrible pick, but there he goes. Cedric Tillman, always interesting. If Joe Flacco's a quarterback, then Cedric Tillman might just make sense. I do like Brenton Strange a lot, but on a team where I think we were a little bit behind on receiver, we'll take a Cedric Tillman share there. Likely would be a pick that I think I would like on this team because this is such a fall from where he was. If he's healthy by week 5, then I'm going to be happy camper with McBride and Likely. This is not a team that would need Likely to do anything early on, but if Likely goes, we could just make Lee get our final receiver, or we could scroll down a bit. Miles Sanders and Jaden Blue feels not great. We could take Krosky Merritt. I almost wonder if Krosky Merritt makes more sense as a Week 17 bring back, and just frankly, I think Krosky Merritt is going to continue to rise up. This is a little bit of a tough call. I just want to think about this for one more second. I think I'm going to go Krosky Merritt here. I think I'm comfortable with that. I do like some of the late tight ends. I don't need to push. I don't need to push up tight end. I did use, I picked McBride at pick 27, so I gotta hope that he's going to be hitting my lineup more frequently than Isaiah Likely is in any event. Let's pull up Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he's going to be there when we come back. I will put Jonnu Smith in the queue extremely optimistically. Maybe you could argue instead of Tillman and Krosky Merritt, I could have just double tapped Rodgers and Jonnu. I think that would have been fine. This team, I think, does look a lot better if it gets Aaron Rodgers on it, but We pick next at 190. So it would basically be exactly at ADP. And we've got to dodge a few people that need quarterback. This C. Dan guy only has one. And I think Rodgers is the last true starter there. So I'm afraid he's about to go with this pick, but let's see. With the A-Rich injury, yeah, there goes Rodgers. So maybe a little bit of a misstep from us. I think I was counting on Rodgers being there at ADP a little more than I should have. So this is just going to be a 2 QB team. And you know what? That's fine. I don't want to only have 3 QBs. I've got Kyler and Dak. I took them early. I used a ton of draft capital on this Dallas double stack. So if that fails, I'm probably in a whole world of trouble as it is. So no problem there. Let's pull up the tight ends. It gets pretty thin here, especially with the Mason Taylor injury. Again, no quarterbacks I'm really desperate to get. Any exciting rookies? I'll tell you an exciting rookie. Let's take Keaton Mitchell here because I'm afraid Keaton Mitchell is going to just continue to rise and rise very quickly. He looked very good in Baltimore's preseason game. I have said this whole time, I think Keaton Mitchell is the true backup to Henry if something happens. I think Hill, kind of is going to keep his role as the passing down back. So let's get Keaton Mitchell on the team. So we're going to go with a 2-7-6-3, I think. So this is a little bit out there. I think in my mind I was going to take another receiver, but I do almost think I want 2 tight ends. Let's take Chig here. Make sure I'm not doubling up on bye week because we might just decide to end this with McBride and Chig, but I don't know. I don't do very many 2-7-6-2 teams, but I don't know. I think this probably needs another wide receiver. It's probably with Pickens and Lamb, and then Metcalf, Kirk, Mims, and Tillman. Mitchell probably should have been a wide receiver, but he's not. So maybe this is a 2-7-7-2. Let's see what wide receivers would make sense here. I think Alec Pierce would be cool. Diami Brown, I'm always into. Darius Slayton, I think, he's injured, but I think they said that it wasn't anything truly serious. And Jalen Naylor, I like Jalen Naylor with the Addison suspension. I think you're going to get some early season production out of Naylor. It sounds like Ty Felton is doing absolutely nothing in camp that I've heard of. So it could be wide receiver 3 on a team with and now not technically a rookie quarterback, but a first-year quarterback. Probably not the world's most valuable role, but Naylor did flash a little bit of upside. Apparently he had been having a good camp, at least what I heard from him early on. So we'll queue him up, although, it's always possible we'll get the McCarthy drafter. We'll take him, or the Goff drafter to finish a week 17 bring back. So I will recap the team. We've got Kyler and Dak at quarterback, Jonathan Taylor, Caleb Johnson, Isaiah Pacheco, Cam Scatterbo, Jaden Blue, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and Keaton Mitchell. Again, did we need 7 running backs? I don't know. Probably not. But I like those guys. So this is what happened on this team. It kind of got away from me, but that's what happens when I draft at 11:05 p.m. We've got CD Lamb, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Christian Kirk, Marvin Mims, and Cedric Tillman, and then a tight end room of Trey McBride and Chig Okonkwo. Juwan Johnson, Theo Johnson, they make sense. Had I gotten Aaron Rodgers, I'd probably have added Pat Freiermuth to the team, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Diami Brown probably would be the pick for me over Pierce again. Diami Brown, week 17, bring back to Taylor, and I really into Diami Brown as a whole. But man, this is this is late for Alec Pierce. This is pretty late for Alec Pierce. I do think Pierce does stand to lose if A-Rich is hurt or doesn't play. But you know what? Let's take this. I mean, I know this ADP value is a little illusory, but Alec Pierce does kind of make sense. Instead of doing the bring back, let's just build out a little more on the Colts stack. So, all right, don't hate this team. It's a little weird. Don't love 2772. I don't know that it's the optimal roster construction. Always feels a little thin. But again, we made a massive bet on Dallas. We stacked Kyler with Trey McBride, who we took very early. So if those two picks are wrong, maybe a third quarterback, we were dead anyway. So let's see. Hey, Mike Rob, late night candle burning. Love it, man. Thanks so much for coming in and hanging out, Mike. I'm about to hop into another BBM, but I really appreciate your support here. All right, let's see. All right. I don't know why I clicked that. I could see BBM over here. All right. I'll count it down from 5 just in case anyone wants to hop in. So we are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're off. All right. And waiting for 3. So if anyone wants to hop in, come on in. The water is fine in this late night stream. Again, looking forward to be back in my normal time. But hey, I'm so glad I get to hang out with all of you. I really appreciate you guys spending this evening here. It means a lot to me to be able to do this, because these are going to be the good old days when we're deep in October and these horrible injuries have happened, and you go on BBMDB and you're advancing like 13% of your teams. These are going to be the good old days. And you know what? You're not going to be advancing 13% of your teams. It's probably me that would be advancing 13%. But everything is so nice now and it's correlated. But yeah, baby or Sprouse for volume, still good. You can just tell it's either quiet or trying to seduce emo. All right, let me see. Let me see if I can do something. Hold on. All right, let me know. Did I just deafen everybody, or is that better? I'm nervous that I just blew out your eardrums. Either way, yes, I have I'm trying to keep the baby sleeping, because if I wake the baby and my wife, the stream will end very quickly. So I apologize. But yeah, this is this is a little streaming after dark. Happy to answer best ball questions or relationship advice, whatever people are really looking for tonight. Hopefully we can help you find it. I don't know that I see anybody in this room that I know, although I know I've drafted with Chug Monkey before, because I do remember usernames like that. All right. Mike Rob says, all good, got you on car speaker and you're loud and clear, keep it up, super dad. Hey Mike, thanks so much. I'm glad to help your drive time. Normally I get the morning drive time, but I'm happy to help bring you home as well. Or if you're heading into working the night shift, keeping the lights on for the rest of us. Again, thanks for all you do out there. All right, let's see what comes to us. I don't know. I'm hoping this person takes CD Lamb, because I kind of want to do a different team. I just did a CD Lamb team. All right, he takes CD Lamb. Let's take Saquon. Let's take Saquon on this team. So we're going to start with a running back this time, and we'll see if anyone does anything weird in this room. Last time we had that one drafter who went Allen and Daniels early. So that kind of threw off some of the quarterbacks in the room. We also had somebody take Nico Collins at the 6 hole. So that kind of threw things a little bit off as well. In this draft, we see A-Chain at pick 8. That's a little bit early. Interesting choices. When you take someone like A-Chain at 8, who also has a tendency sometimes to go at pick 17. It's you're really making a play for uniqueness there, potentially sacrificing a little bit of projection. But again, don't hate that. Getting two, when you're in the back half of the first round, getting two guys who almost always go in the second round, I don't mind, because you're just not going to see a lot of teams do that. And you're still looking at players that could potentially be the highest scoring at their position. It's obviously going against what the market says is likeliest to happen, but it could, from a projection standpoint, not actually be sacrificing all that much, just depending on who you're pairing up and how you're doing it. So again, I don't hate doing those things for uniqueness. You get a team to the BBM finals that has like A-Chain and Drake London. I'll just pick an example. Two players that almost always go in the second round. That could literally be the only team in the finals that do it. Mike asks, if you do bully QB, which one seemed like the best combo? I'm tempted to just say Allen, Lamar. That would just be my first instinct, because we've seen it for them for so many years, whereas Daniels, only, we saw it last year. Sorry, I'm just deciding if I want to go running back in this room, or if I want to take T. Higgins here. You know what? I'm gonna take Higgins here. I'm gonna take Higgins, and I'm gonna try to make this a Burrow team, but we'll see what happens. I think just because I know those two guys, they've won the MVP like multiple times now. I think that's how I would play it. Although, I think that's how I would answer it. But I really think you could substitute either one of them with Daniels. I've had concerns that Josh Allen, they don't want him bulldozing, into linemen in the regular season. So I have had a fear that they're going to curtail some of his rushing. So maybe the answer is Lamar and Daniels, or maybe it's even Lamar and Hurts. I don't know. Like, I've basically given you no answer at all, but it's not something I've thought of. So that is a good question. I think, if you do want to do bully QB, Badge Bros Brawl, I think you can get away with it. I really think that if you've taken an elite quarterback and then another one falls to you, I don't see any problem with taking it. You still can build absolutely massive super teams in those rooms and end up just with a true bully quarterback situation that's going to project absolutely awesome. I made one Badge Bros Brawl final last year, and it was an Allen, Hurts, Jaden Daniels team. Now, granted, Jaden Daniels was pretty much free in that contest, so it's a little bit different. But it was using a lot of draft capital on Allen and Hurts, and that team finished 17th in that contest. So, I do think you can do bully QB there if you want to experiment with it. FK Cooler says, ASMR best ball stream this season has it all. Pat Mayo did an AMA. He was bored, waiting for a flight, and he's like, oh, tweet any questions. And I'm like, all right, what's your one piece of advice for a content creator? And he said, pick your lane and stay in it. Don't try to be, everyone else. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to be the ASMR best ball streamer. But no, that was not the actual route that I planned on taking. But again, this is if I'm trying to keep this stream on, so I have to be quiet when I'm in the room over my wife and kid are sleeping. So that would end this real quick. Now, for the audio listeners, in case you're wondering what's going on here, I have Saquon, T. Higgins, and Josh Jacobs. Jacobs came back to me at pick 28, which honestly to me is kind of a nice fall. I don't think I have a lot of Saquon Jacobs teams, because Jacobs typically goes in the second round, and I prefer Taylor, Bucky, and Chase Brown a little bit to Jacobs, but not enough to pass him at pick 28. So like that. FK Coolers asks, how much draft volume are you planning the rest of the way? I have about a little more than 50 BBMs and 50 of the DK Millie Makers left. And so I'm definitely going to max those. And I have 50 Badge Bros Brawl. I think that's going to fill before I can max it. Otherwise, I'll just pepper in the side contests. But those two are the priority. I want to make sure I get those two done. And it's really going to come down to time on what else I can get in. All right, so Pickens would be, I know I just took Pickens, but I wouldn't mind him there. Rashee Rice is always interesting. Courtland Sutton makes a certain amount of sense. I almost think I want to build a Sutton team here instead of another Pickens team. So let's get Courtland Sutton onto it. I think Bo Nix's ADP lines up fairly well. Pick 93, and Nix goes at pick 97. So this could potentially be a Bo Nix team. Let's see what the room gives to us. Our other quarterback option, of course, would be if we do get Burrow, will this guy, this is the Jamar Chase drafter, so it's all going to depend on if this guy takes Burrow or not, whether we even have any hope of getting Burrow back to us or not. But we'll see. It would be great if he passed on Burrow, because we have 4 people with quarterbacks to my right, and so that makes it less likely that someone will snap him off, especially with Chase Brown, going to the Jamar Chase drafter. So he passes on Burrow. So we'll see. Maybe we can pull this off after all. We will see. Oh, I'm picking again. I got to do something. Interesting. Let's take a Jalen Waddle on this team. I think that's fine. This is a big fall on DJ Moore. You know what? No, let's take DJ Moore. I think we're getting a little too cute. I don't know why. He fell 8 spots, but I'll take him there. There's a reasonable chance if I take DJ Moore, I could get Courtland Sutton at pick 52. So I didn't actually pick up any value. I just kind of took 2 players in the reverse order. But as much as I do like Waddle, and Tyreek's dealing with a mystery injury, which nobody has any information on, it seems sketchy. I do think Moore makes a certain amount of sense as a faller. And yeah, that report, again, if you're getting news from Underdog blurbs, you're probably in a bit of trouble. But it did note that they had used him out of the backfield. So I'm not really excited about DJ Moore working out of the backfield per se, as it suggests that they're scheming ways to get DJ Moore the ball and that he's going to be heavily involved, and the fear that he's on the outs are unfounded. Tim, thanks so much for coming in and for your support. As always, I really do appreciate it. Tim's wondering when the Rice stuff will come out. Yeah, hopefully sooner than later. Would be nice to get some clarity on that. I think he's going to fall, although he definitely is falling now. So I think in this case it's at least somewhat priced in. D Rose, of course, just took Joe Burrow, because anytime you can take Joe Burrow unstacked in round 5, you simply must do it. But you know what? That's okay, because we have options for Caleb. We've got options for Nix, and I didn't want to take Burrow anyway. In all seriousness, though, Burrow is kind of expensive for what he is. A pocket passer. Pocket passers will randomly just have spike weeks, and Burrow's just last year was so high profile in that week 17 game that I think he's just a hair expensive. He is a little overpriced. Debo would be nice if Debo goes. Although, we could take Caleb and then dip into this range of receiver. I like that. I like Pacheco quite a bit. I know I took Pacheco last time. Swift would have been nice to pair with DJ Moore. I know I took Pacheco last draft, but I think I'm really into Pacheco this season. It seems like he's having a pretty good camp. It seems like he's healthy. Some of the clips from him looked pretty good. And then if we do have Bo Nix, then again, that will be a little bit of a Week 17 build. And of course, on the off chance that Mahomes falls all the way to us, we could look into that. Caleb has been dipping a little bit. Matthew Golden would be nice. I don't take much Jerry Jeudy, but if Joe Flacco was the starter, maybe I should change that. So let's see who we get here. I'm prepared to take a fourth running back if Golden and Jeudy both go, although I'd rather not. I'd really rather a wide receiver here, which is why I took Pacheco. I was hoping to end up with a receiver in this range. All right, so Caleb goes. So we'll take Jerry Jeudy. I don't have a lot of Jerry Jeudy in BBM. I gotta be honest. That's gonna be one of my first Jerry Jeudy shares, but I think he's 6 picks past ADP, and with it probably being Flacco, then Jeudy unfortunately might just be a halfway decent selection this year. As much as, again, I am just kind of a Jeudy hater. All right, so this Hoygasm guy is screwing up the room. He took Mahomes and Daniels, and neither of them are stacked. So don't love that because it can start making things pretty wonky. But let's just queue up Bo Nix on the team. For the audio listeners, we've got a 0-3-4-0 with Saquon, Jacobs, and Pacheco. A wide receiver room of Higgins, Sutton, Moore, and Jerry Jeudy. So again, Golden would have been nice because Golden would have really opened up Love with Jacobs. As it is, let's see, where's Love's ADP? Love is at 125, and where's Kraft? Kraft is at 118. So after 93, we pick at 100, 117, and 124. So in the most ideal of ideal worlds, we could potentially do a Lovecraft stack. The issue is Golden here going to Chug Monkey means there's a reasonable chance that this drafter takes Love ahead of where he would go if he took Love at 119, or he'd get another crack at 122. That would sort of end the possibility of the Lovecraft stuff. So definitely we'll take Bo Nix if he comes to us. If Nix doesn't come to us, let's queue up this massive fall on Godwin. Okay, so Godwin goes. Bit of a fall on Mooney, but he's been falling a lot lately. Let's queue up Cooper Kupp here as the potential next pick if Nix goes. Brian Robinson has been falling. I never really took much Brian Robinson, but the Krosky Merritt drumbeat is getting louder and louder every day. All right, so there goes Robinson. Let's take Bo Nix now. So we get the Nix Sutton stack. If we want another quarterback, Caleb at 112, we could take Caleb early. I think Evan Ingram at pick 100 would make sense for this team. Although, again, if Kupp is there, 6 picks past ADP, we certainly could consider that because it does seem like we can make tight end up later. That said, it's probably getting a little too cute. J.K. Dobbins would be a nice pick as well. I really think J.K. Dobbins is going to be heavily involved in things. So Ingram is just so obvious to pair with Nix. I think getting a Bo Nix double will make just makes a ton of sense for this team. So we got Nix at quarterback, Saquon, Jacobs, and Pacheco, and then a wide receiver room of Higgins, Sutton, Moore, and Judy. So not too bad. Like the team. Don't get very many Jerry Judy teams, but you know what? There's a first time for everything. And tonight, late at 11:26 p.m., it was the time for Jerry Judy. Going back to the board, Chug Monkey here. He has not taken a quarterback, and he's got Bijan and Mooney, so he's probably going to take Penix. But again, I don't think we could count on him taking passing on Golden. We, of course, could take Golden, but then we would rely on Kraft falling and Kraft, going at 118. He would have to get past, well, you know what? These guys all have tight ends. McBride, Laporta, and Andrews. So it's possible we could do a Lovecraft thing if we take Love first. At worst, we would have Love paired with Jacobs. Although, you know what, maybe passing on wide receiver is going to be a mistake. I guess we'll have to see which wide receivers come to us. Of course, if for some reason J.K. Dobbins comes all the way back to us, we will podium pick that. We could queue up Caleb, because obviously Caleb and Moore would be good. We didn't miss out on Loveland. So, you know what? Maybe Caleb and Loveland makes more sense than forcing Love and Kraft, although Caleb goes to the Odunze drafter. So that is now officially out the window. But you know what? What can you do? What can you do? There goes Mr. Loveland there. Dobbins, of course, did go, unfortunately, to the Caleb guy, and Sharps goes. So Scatabo just continues to fall. Jordan Love there at 125. Dak is still out there. Let's see what all right, so G Wizards is the Dak drafter there. So there goes Kraft. That's a little unfortunate. Kraft would have been kind of fun. I have no reason to take Dak. Oh man, Luther Burden. I think we just do another Kirk team. I think we do Kirk, and then we could do Kirk and Stroud. I wouldn't mind taking Love and then taking like a Romeo Dobbs late. I would do that, but again, I do not think that Jordan Love is going to come back to me, which is fine. I'm not going to force that there. Yep, there goes Jordan Love to Chug Monkey as expected. I'll queue up Tajay Spears. I do like him quite a bit. I am likely to take Stroud here because my other quarterback options have all evaporated on me. Marvin Mims, though. Marvin Mims does make a certain amount of sense if we want to completely build out the Bo Nix stuff, but Luther Burden's also interesting to take with DJ Moore. Tough decision here. I think getting Stroud though is just the move, and potentially making this into a Woody Marks team. So we've got Nix and Stroud at quarterback, Saquon, Jacobs, and Pacheco at running back, T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, Jerry Judy, and Christian Kirk at receiver, and then Evan Ingram at tight end. So not too bad like the team. Again, a couple things didn't go our way, but I think we adapted reasonably well to them. I think Houston has a very favorable playoff schedule, so I don't mind getting Kirk and Stroud as a little instant, around the turn stack. And I don't want all my Stroud teams to be Nico Collins teams. We can mix in some of this late stuff. The Sims apparently love Jalen Knoll, so we could potentially look at adding him as a late quarterback option. All right, Luther Burden goes there at 131. Very late for Luther Burden. Same with Mims. Mims does have a tendency to fall in these drafts. T-Law going there at 132. He, of course, does go to the BTJ drafter, but now this guy already has 3 quarterbacks through 11, so a lot of QB draft capital invested over there on the right side of the board. We're picking next at 141 and 148. Tank Bigsby, he goes to the T-Law drafter. I do like that. Even if, Bigsby isn't a pass catcher, building out those team bets is a nice way to do things. Let's see. Do we have any, taking Penix feels a little panicky. I don't think we need to, do that. After we pick at 148, we pick next at 165. And let's look at the quarterbacks. Potentially Geno, Stafford, or Darnold. So if we want a third quarterback, I think that's probably where we should be looking. Dylan Sampson would make sense, being that we do have Jerry Jeudy, maybe continuing a bet on Cleveland. Of course, Dylan Sampson just goes. There goes Tua. I have so much Byshell Tootin. I don't even know if he's necessary on this team. I do like Josh Palmer. I think I'll just take a Josh Palmer share. Maybe it's a mistake to use one of my wide receiver slots when I need to backstack, but frankly, I think Palmer is just a really nice value. T. Higgins as my wide receiver 1 always makes me a little leery because he's, not even the wide receiver 1 on his own team, and I'm building a best ball team. But I do like the way things have been going. Tim says Bo Nix is going to take off this year. Sean Payton, phenomenal coach, probably top 3 coach in the league. Yeah, definitely could be a big year for Bo Nix. I mean, he was really impressive as a rookie. He got better and better as the season went on. And yeah, I think you're right about Peyton. He's annoying for fantasy managers, and you can't believe a word he says, but certainly gets a lot out of his players and has done a fantastic job with Bo Nix there. Had we gotten Love, Romeo Dobbs would be nice. Romeo Dobbs could still be nice, but I think we should add another wide receiver, or maybe just take Cam Ward and look at doing another Cam Ward Chig team. I do really like Cam Ward this season, and again, I think he's a guy you can take naked because he's going to have some rushing upside. He could be a guy that starts off slow, but is really strong late in the season. Although Byshell Tootin at pick 148. Yeah, it's a tough call. What to do here. Tyler Algier is another option. A lot of contingent upside, but you know what? Let's take Cam Ward. Let's do it. Let's kind of bully the room a little bit at quarterback. It's going to start getting thin, and at the very least, we can find that we annoyed Ridley's to my left, so I can't even say I annoyed the Ridley drafter because he literally passed on him to take Isaac Garendo, who's injured. So I didn't bully anyone, guys. I just took a quarterback. But you know what? That's okay. That is okay. There goes Tootin finally at pick 151. So he goes to the guy who's just starts ripping off. He goes 0, essentially anchor RB with McCaffrey. and it doesn't take another running back till Scatabo, Stevenson, Jaden Blue, and Byshell Tootin. So a true anchor RB build for probably over there in the 7 hole. All right. Well, again, I appreciate you all who have hung out tonight. Maybe we'll do one Badge Rose Brawl before we get out of here. I'd love to do another BPM, but frankly, it is getting pretty late here, and I should probably be somewhat responsible. But I might actually jump on my normal time tomorrow AM. We're gonna have to see what's possible. I think it's a little optimistic, but we'll see. It's all going to depend on when everybody here wakes up, if I can get on. But next week, starting Tuesday, we are back. We are back 5 days a week, except for when I'm back when it's only 4 days. Right. So this Ghost Staff guy, he adds a couple of running backs to his team. Penix goes. I thought this guy was going to take Penix. I'm really shocked that the Bijan drafter, who had Bijan and Mooney, chose to take Najee Harris and Demario Douglas instead of taking Michael Penix. I don't want to criticize what people do, but that just doesn't seem right. I would absolutely love to take Tyler Algier if Tyler Algier's there. If not, we could take Roshan. I guess that's fine. I don't have any real reason to take Hunter Henry. I do want a Chig, and Chig ADP 189. Our next pick is at 189. So we're really relying on him to go at ADP, but I am going to take Tyler Algier. Absolutely. I think that's, I'd like getting Algier when I have Saquon, because so many teams, you have to make the choice between Saquon and Bijan. So you're like super leveraged on, if something happens to Bijan, you have the direct backup. So you know what, he's a little annoying because I don't think you're going to get a lot of standalone production from him, but I do really like the contingent upside there. Pat Bryant, could add him, but that wide receiver room in Denver is crowded. I've definitely cooled on taking Bryant. I think he might really struggle to get on the field early. Dante Thornton apparently sounds like he was running all the routes in the preseason game. Maybe we do Krosky Merritt. I don't know if I really want another week 5 bye running back. I think Krosky Merritt is a much more fun bet. Although, Rico Dowdle might be the more mature play. You know what? We got Saquon, Jacobs, and Pacheco. I think we can afford to swing for the fences, and let's swing away with Krosky Merritt. Let's take him here. If the drumbeat really is that loud, let's just lean into that. Tim asks, who are some of your favorite late round tight ends? Let's see. So, you know what? I'll just add him to the queue. It's definitely Chig. It's not Dalton Schultz, even though I have Stroud. Juwan Johnson, I like. Theo Johnson, I like. I think Pat Freiermuth has value and generally should be drafted. They're going to run a lot of 12 personnel there in Pittsburgh. I think he's like a poor man's Isaiah Likely. Like I think he really, the Arthur Smith offense could support two tight ends. So I don't mind him as a last tight end. Who Hames and Steve from Fanspeak talked me into Harold Fannin. I wasn't taking any Harold Fannin since the big board, but it sounds like they're working ways to get him on the field. So I hate to say favorite, but I'm definitely taking some Fannin. And, I will give you my true favorite late one that I do mix in is Michael Mayer. I think he has huge contingent upside. I think if something happens to Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer becomes startable in like your redraft league. I really think he will be in the top 10 tight ends on a weekly basis. And maybe that sounds crazy, but I do think he's super talented. He had some weird off the field stuff last year. And I also think the Raiders are going to run some, 2 tight end sets with, a higher degree of frequency and a fast-paced offense. So I'll mix in some Michael Mayer. So those are my favorite late round guys. Again, Michael Mayer may be more contingent than he is in my mind, but I think he's pretty good bet. This team with Evan Ingram will end up with 3 tight ends. So we'll probably hopefully we'll take Chig with this pick, and then probably another running back. Unless, let me just make sure these guys aren't loaded. Oh, man, these guys already all have 2 tight ends. So if Rico Dowdle comes back to us, it might be hard to pass on Rico Dowdle for Chig Okonkwo. I think Rico would be nice. Of course, Woody Marks would have been really nice on our team with Stroud, but alas, that did not happen. Let's queue up Dowdle. I'm hoping that Arroyo being there would lead one of these guys, if they want to get their 3rd tight end, to take Arroyo instead of Chig, but that could be bad. If Dowdle goes, I'm just gonna take Okonkwo there. So Taj Brooks goes. Let's take Rico Dowdle, and now we cross our fingers that we get Chig Okonkwo here, but we'll see. Again, this is only from looking at the board and seeing everyone there has 2 tight ends and thinking, hopefully we can sneak this one by so Cam Ward's not completely naked. Hey Tim, now of course, thanks for coming and hanging out. It's a lot more fun chatting with you guys. All right, Alec Pierce goes, Sam Darnold goes, Arroyo goes. So one of the tight ends goes. Let's see. Do we get? I actually do like Jatavion Sanders. I missed him. I'd probably bump him up towards the top. He's apparently been having a really good camp as well. I don't know if I take him over Juwan Johnson or not. It's kind of 50-50 for me, because Tommy Tremble's been hurt, so there's a chance when Tremble's healthy, it's more of a split. But I don't think Tommy Tremble's very good, so I'm hopeful. Jatavion was a rookie last season. I think he might just get the job, but we did get Chig. So we've got a 3-6-6-2. We've got Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, and Cam Ward. We got Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyler Algier, Krosky Merritt, and Rico Dowdle. And then a wide receiver room of T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, and Josh Palmer. And then Evan Ingram and Chig at tight end. So I don't mind this team. I feel like this team's come out pretty good. Would have been nice maybe to get a little more Houston pieces on this team. You could argue that instead of Dowdle, I could have taken one more receiver to get up to make this a 3-5-7-3 instead of a 3-6-6-3. But again, I do feel like these top 5 receivers are pretty good. Don't build a ton of teams centered around, really needing Sutton and DJ Moore. But, they were, at least Moore was a little bit of an ADP value. Jerry Jeudy was an ADP value. So we'll see what happens there. Tim says, man, if A-Rich could stay healthy, it would be scary. The deep bombs he throw, flick at the wrist, he can launch the football. Wish he could stay healthy because he can throw it with ease. Yeah, he's fun. I mean, he's so fun to watch when he's healthy. He's like, I think we've joked, like, he's more accurate from like 55 yards than 5 yards. He has trouble, like, because he just overthrows these guys because he has such a cannon. But yeah, his deep ball is a thing of beauty. I mean, Alec Pierce had 800 yards last season in like the quietest 800. I think it was like 880 yards. Like, it was a huge season. And that was, largely due to some of those A-Rich games where he could just like absolutely just bomb it out there. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame because it does seem like A-Rich was working hard to correct some of those limitations to his game. So hopefully he's back sooner than later. I think on this team, I'm gonna, I know better than to plan on guys being there when I want them, but I'll try to wrap this up with Harold Fannin because I do have Jeudy. So maybe a little bet on a potential Cleveland Browns pass catcher. Oh, God. But yeah, I've been trying to mix in more Harold Fannin, and what better time to do it than when you have a guy you've never drafted in Jerry Jeudy. So, all right, we've got Harold Fannin wrapping it up. So for the audio listeners, we got a 3-6-6-3. We've got Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, and Cam Ward. A running back room of Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyler Algier, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and Rico Dowdle. A wide receiver room of T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, and Josh Palmer. In a tight end room of Evan Ingram, Chig Okonkwo, and Harold Fannin. So, not the prettiest team ever, but there's stacks, there's bringbacks. It tells a story. It tells a little story. And with that, let's do one Badge Bros Brawl, and then I will probably head on out. So this is number 100. So this is 100. We'll do it on stream, and we will cross our fingers. Hey, Steve, how's it going? It's good, man. It is good. It is good. I think I went live when you were wrapping up. So again, I have this narrow window when I could stream, so I apologize. But I will actually I have you queued up to listen to tomorrow. Your sibling showdown on the Fan Speak Network. If you don't subscribe to Steve and the rest of the gang over on the Fan Speak Network, you 100% should. And I was half expecting to see you in this room, but I don't see you in here, so I do have some hope of advancing yet. Again, this is Badge Bros Brawl 100, one of my favorite contests that they run. I think it's going to fill before I have time to max it, but it is one that if I can max, I absolutely will. Yeah, you missed this one. I didn't count it. I saw you in the chat. I'm like, I'm not counting this down from 5. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to I didn't want to stall any longer because I'm probably just gonna head to bed after this. But let's see. The problem with this view is I have no idea. All right, 5 seconds to start. All right, so I'll try to keep the board up, but these drafts move so fast that it is sometimes difficult to do that. Badge Bros Brawl's general strategy, I tend to go running back a little heavy earlier because wide receiver is so deep in this contest. Really amazing receivers go undrafted, whereas running backs do dry up kind of quickly. Not to say I don't do some zero RB stuff or try to go heavy on the wide receivers or the other positions. But that I do want to focus a lot on getting the elite running backs. I think that's really what's going to separate in the contest, and just try to vary who's who that we mix up. The other thing about Badge Bros Brawls is they just fly. Like, people draft fast. They do not use their whole clock, unlike in BBM where you get people hemming and hawing. There is no hemming or hawing in Badge Bros Brawls. The drafts just absolutely roll. All right, so we go Saquon Genti to start out, and we're off and running. We'll see if we do a third running back or if we take a elite receiver in this range. Man, it would be nice if Malik Neighbors came to us, but I don't think he will. That's a little bit of a pipe dream. Yep, there he goes. All right, so let's see what is on the top of the queue. Amon-Ra, BTJ, Brock Bowers. Oh man, tough choice here. It is tempting to get, I was only going to take Bowers because I know Steve's watching. There are also really tight end, you either get Bowers or McBride or you don't. Elite tight end can really separate in this contest. So they go very early, at least Bowers and McBride tend to, but I didn't want to pass on Amon-Ra there. I think getting that first round wide receiver talent, as deep as wide receiver is, I do still want to get one of those first round wide receivers if possible. And I was afraid I was going to get really iced out. But we're opening with 0-3-1-0 with Saquon Genti and Chase Brown, and then Amon-Ra at wide receiver. there goes Trey McBride. So at this point, I'm not going to worry too much about tight ends. I'm really going to focus more on stacking my tight ends with my quarterback. But, if George Kittle does fall, I'll take Kittle. Elite quarterbacks are, to me, an absolute must in this contest. I don't know if I'm going to break the seal on elite quarterback. I really like Garrett Wilson. I do a lot of Garrett Wilson in these drafts, but you know what? He's kind of a stand I'm willing to make. So I'll take Garrett Wilson, and then I will take one of the elite quarterbacks with my next pick. In that, in my mind, that's Allen, Jackson, Daniels, or Hurts. I want to have at least one of them, and if possible, I will take two. Like in this instance, assuming Joel Rabb doesn't take a quarterback, which he probably should have because now he might not get one. I will absolutely take Daniels or Hurts with my next pick here. I do not think that's wrong in this contest because, my running back room can compete with any team in this contest, Saquon, Gentry, and Brown. And I've got Amon-Ra and Garrett Wilson, pretty strong, wide receivers. Obviously, I don't have the super elites, but, for this team to work, I probably need those super elites to not separate too much from the guys in the back half of the first round, or on into the third through fifth round. So I think I'm probably going to end up with a double elite quarterback in this room, and that really, with only 1 out of 6 advances, you can really start bullying teams. Like, how big of a difference is JSN down to Jameson Williams, DK Metcalf? Not that big. But the drop off between Jalen Hurts and then the pocket passers available, pretty huge. So we get Hurts and Barkley on this team. All right. Steve says, damn, that's nice. Getting double elite QB. I like that. Yeah, I don't think people do it enough in Badge Bros Brawl. I think people are like, okay, this is my one. And when you do the 2v2s, they're not that bad. And I'm not saying to do it, if you do it too early, I think you can kind of get behind the 8 ball. But, oh man, I like Pickens. I like Pickens enough to pass on Devonta there, I think. I'm okay with naked Hurts. And honestly, the way people draft, having done quite a few of these, I think Devonta will be there with my next pick. We'll see. I could be trying to show off a little bit too much, but we'll see what happens. I could be wrong. I have been wrong before, believe it or not, folks. Let's see. Ken Walker would be nice, and then Waddle, Ridley, sure. Any of those guys would do just fine. Steve asked, do you typically tack on a third? I typically will. Yeah, this is my 100th Badge Bros Brawl. I don't know if I have a single 2 QB team. I think I do 3 QBs every time, whether I get 2 elites or not. Just because my third QB is going to be a stacked up pocket passer, and I'm usually pretty happy with that. Or if I can add Justin Fields to this team in the 12th round, I'll do it. So as I thought, Devonta Smith is still there. So we do end up stacking. Whoops, I zoomed my screen. I do end up stacking Hurts, Lamar. We could just put Zay Flowers in the queue. If we get Zay Flowers, that'd be awesome. If not, then we can just get Mark Andrews. We just have to keep an eye on tight end, because tight end, once Kittle goes, see, why did you take Flowers? Some people just can't have beautiful things in this world, and that's okay. Let's take Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is your 4th running back. My God, what are we doing here? So again, are we going to have a weak tight end room compared to other teams? Yes, but you can give me 3 of these late tight ends, and I only need one of them to have a spike week matching one of the elite tight ends on any given week, and I'm going to be just as competitive with them. So for the audio listeners, these are pretty hard to keep up with, so I apologize. We've got Lamar and Hurts. We got Saquon, Gentry, Chase Brown, and Kamara. A wide receiver room of Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, and Devonta Smith. So I really like this team. I think it's coming together. Would have loved that to be Zay Flowers there instead of Kamara. But, we're still going to be able to stack. We're still going to be able to stack Lamar. And if we have to stack him with Bateman, that might even be better because no one's going to be doing that. So I like that. Steve says that's probably the right way to do it. May is such a smash pick with Diggs, 100%, and they're basically free. Like, Diggs goes undrafted in a lot of contests. So I completely agree with you there. I mean, I could even make that the route we go. I think I'll take Travis Hunter here. I could take Laporta because, again, I think Laporta is a really strong tight end. I might just take Mark Andrews and not muck around with trying to push Andrews. I don't think there's any value in me doing that. So I got Laporta as my 5th receiver. I could see if I want to do a pocket passer stack, or if I want to take Justin Fields with Garrett Wilson. Again, another guy that doesn't get taken every time is like as simple as Jared Goff. And I have Goff and Amon Ra. If Laporta's there, I could have taken Laporta and then taken Goff and Amon Ra. The only reason I don't like doing that is I think there's going to be teams that have that plus JMO. And if Detroit is a super wagon, then I kind of want teams where I have all 3. I will mix in Goff stacks, but I do think of the pocket passers, Goff is pretty commonly done. So I'm okay not going that route. Hawkinson here, again, these tight ends to me at this range is just so flat. We could add Dallas Goedert to double stack Hurts. We have a few options there. So let's see what we want to do at quarterback. I mean, part of me thinks we just take Justin Fields here and not do a pocket passing stack. Just do Fields. I mean, he's got the same bye week as Hurts, but I mean, you tell me my quarterback room is Lamar, Hurts, and Fields, I will literally take that against whatever 3 cards you're flipping over in your contest. So that's fine by me. Maybe we add a Hawkinson, perfectly fine. If somebody takes an unstacked Dallas Goedert, they can. I could take Kincaid if I really wanted a week 17 bring back. I just want to make sure I'm not missing out on any wide receivers of any real consequence. I don't know that I am. I think I'm just going to take Hawkinson, kind of go with, best player available at the position. Also, I don't have any other week 6 buys, so I think that's fine. So we'll add Hawkinson. So we've got a 3-4-5-2. I think this team is going to end up being a 3-5-7-3. I think with Saquon, Gentry, Brown, and Kamara, we really only need one more running back. Although, you can, do 3-6-6-3s as well. I think that's perfectly fine. Steve says, I think Flowers getting stolen is positive. How often is he spiking over those other receivers? Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, truly, how often is that happening? Could add Steph Diggs to this team. Speaking of potential spike week guys, I don't take a ton of Jaden Reed, but he is a nice bring back to the Lamar stuff. But let's just get Steph Diggs. I tend to get Steph Diggs on Drake May teams, and I don't only want to have that. He's also, of course, week 17 with Garrett Wilson and friends. Reed would be nice, although I think instead of Reed, let's try to get Tucker Kraft, although Tucker Kraft frequently goes. These two are probably going to realize they need a tight end and take their favorite. I'd be pretty surprised if I don't go, if one of them doesn't go here. Let's see. Nope, we do. We get Tucker Kraft. All right, sweet. Tucker Kraft is a 3rd tight end. Pretty good. I can boot Reed from the queue now, and then potentially add in again, a guy that is just not going to be owned in this contest. Rashad Bateman, most Lamar teams are going to be stacking Andrews and or Flowers, and Bateman, I think he's going to be left out of most teams. So I think that makes sense. Steve says Bateman has many top 12 finishes last year as Flowers 3. Yeah, completely agree, Steve. And I think that's something that is just people don't do enough in this contest, is scroll down for those guys to complete stacks, or just, make a bet on the flyer. Like your people are going to click these guys towards the end of it and not bother to scroll for the Rashad Batemans of the world. So I agree. This guy has 10 wide receivers. My God, 1, 5, 10, 0. Like, why? Why do you have 10 wide receivers? I'm not saying I'm the expert on this, but that's like, Jesus Christ. Like, what are you doing? Just can't be right. Who knows? Maybe it is. That feels like they're trying to play weekly winners. I'll take Rashad Bateman, and then, I'll end the stream with positivity. You got to take care of yourself. You got to do this for yourself. If you're not having fun, this is so hard to make money doing this, that if you're not also having fun, you're doing it wrong. So we're going to take Cam Scatabo with pick 18. So that's my message to you. Take your Cam Scatabo. Scroll down for the guy you like. You know what? That's what we're going to do. Steve says, yeah, guys like Bateman, Shaheed, Reed, Coleman's my favorite late wide receivers, not near fully owned, have spike week upside. Yep. That is 100% true. And then we'll take Cam Scatabo, because you know what? We're playing for week 17. We're trying to win this. This is like 100K up top. Let's go. Tim says some people do absolutely crazy things in drafts. I agree. And you could look at my team and say I did something crazy. Like, I'll recap the team. We got 3-5-7-3. We got Lamar, Hurts, and Fields. Running back room of Saquon, Genti, Chase Brown, Alvin Kamara, Cam Scatabo. Wide receiver room of Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Devonta Smith, Travis Hunter, Steph Diggs, Rashad Bateman, and a tight end room of Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, and Tucker Kraft. I think you can go double elite quarterback, honestly. Like, does this team look better with, instead of Hurts? Who went right after Hurts? Ted McMillan? Xavier Worthy? Like what's the 2v2? Like, I think it's massive sometimes. So anyway, that's my plea to you, is don't let the best ball intelligentsia hold you down. Try different structures, try different stuff, have some fun. And again, I really appreciate your support. I had a ton of fun on this little late night stream, and thanks for hanging out. And I'm gonna try to stream in the morning tomorrow. It's gonna be a game time decision, but hopefully I'll see you then. If not, probably just run it back in the evening. All right, take care, everyone. See you later.